r/TalesFromTechSupport, episode 34. Woman just doesn't understand how this works. Bit of a lurker here, come from a friend group of IT workers including myself where we exchange the horrors we face in our respective workplaces. This was one of the few that stood out. A woman came to him with the following issue: I'm unable to hear the sound from the PowerPoint slides my manager sends me every month. It's not the computer, because sounds from other websites come through just fine. So following this, he goes to check the PowerPoint where there are indeed MP4 files and they are working just fine. And she even agreed that they work fine. What turned out to be the issue was the woman expected, hear the pages, as if it were a live presentation, and that something is going to read the pages to her. He was absolutely speechless. One other small interaction with the same person went a little like this: friend, go ahead and sign completely out, and then sign back in. Woman, all the way out. Friend, no, halfway out. We tried to help an old lady, she brought in her lawyer. Older story. Been debating posting this for a while. A couple of years ago, I worked for a small computer store in the city. We also offered repair services, and we were pretty well known in the area. One of our regulars, an older lady in her 70s, comes in one day complaining about not having video from her computer. It works perfect when we try, so she brings in her monitor. That's when we get no picture, like she had described. So, at this point, we know that the issue is not with the computer itself. So, we hook her monitor up to an old Power Mac, and it works like a charm. The problem is that the adapter she uses to hook her PC to the monitor has died. This is where things start getting hairy. See, the monitor this old lady is using is an old Apple Cinema display that uses some old proprietary connector, literally called the Apple Display Connector. Her computer is a Windows PC. That's where the adapter comes in. It converts the proprietary connection to a usable standard like VGA. This isn't the Apple Display port either, it's older than that. Just replace the adapter and you're done, right? Unfortunately for her, and us, the only company left that made these adapters was either forced out of the market, or sued. I think it was the latter, I don't really remember. Point is, these adapters no longer exist for a reasonable price. When we tell her this, the lady *freaks out, *I'm talking, putting banshees to shame. She's shouting things like *why oh you promised to fix it, *and dirty liars, like, lady, we can't get you something that isn't produced anymore, and is getting scalped on eBay for $300 plus. Lucky for me, I'm in the back working a different repair. It's my poor boss who has to deal with her. At this point, my boss tries to compromise by swapping her old Apple display for a new standard PC, one that has the same screen in it. For some reason, giving her an almost free monitor, albeit trading for her old one, makes her even angrier. The whole thing ends when she pulls the *LLB back with my lawyer, *line, and walks out the door without her computer. Believe me, I wish this story ended here, but no such luck. Next day, I'm working inventory. You can see the front desk from the inventory room when this old lady walks in, followed by this spiffy looking dude in a suit and tie. Takes me a minute to put 2 and 2 together and figure out that *SHE actually came back with her friggin' lawyer. My boss is actually mad now. At first he calmly explains the issue and that he tried to work a compromise that worked *HEAVILY* in her favor. But then a shouting match ensues after a comment that I couldn't hear. Now I feel bad for her lawyer, who looks like he already smells her bullshit and is trying to wedge himself into an argument between a little old lady and my boss, who is a full head taller than him and looks like death when he's mad. What I do here is the old lady saying *I'm not threatening your business or anything, to which my boss responds *why oh you are the definition of a threat to business when you walk into an establishment with your lawyer, *, a moment of silence, then get out of my store. Fortunately, that was the last we heard of her. She and the lawyer walked out the door without another word. Actually, the lawyer walked, that old lady stomped out. She got to keep her useless monitor, but she never did pick up her computer. Because of our policy, that is taped to the front desk, in several places, in plain view, and in a document with her signature, her computer became part of our stock because she didn't take it back within the 60-day period. TL. Dr. Old Lady freaks out about an adapter for an Apple monitor. We try to compromise in her favor. She blows up and brings in her lawyer. Edit. Thanks to you/Clausen Photo for the identifying the display connector. Fixed in the post. I'll ask for forgiveness, not permission. Oh boy, this one. So I work as a system admin on the program management team, yep, of a mid-sized company. They just recently launched this team, so there's all the fun of writing processes and establishing team structure with that. I was quickly deemed the tech guy of the group, possibly because I have an IT role and exist on a project management team, and was tasked with building out Power Apps for the group to use. Intended use was to connect an intake form with SharePoint to track project documentation. Easy peasy. So I started scoping out the project and navigating our offshore IT department for access without turning too many heads to our team, since IT roles don't belong in program management and some VPs may not like that. Come to find out, our current architecture uses an on-prem copy of SharePoint. The dialogue with my boss follows. Boss, how's the project coming? $me. I don't think we can do it internally. The SharePoint site is an on-prem copy which requires a gateway to set up a connection. Boss, why can't we do that? $me. It'll turn heads our way if we start trying to establish all-time access gateways on our team. Boss, but the AVP of X, her work husband, is doing it for other teams. $me. He may have one already established. I'll check with him. So I go to the AVP and ask him how he set up the gateway. He described how to connect to SharePoint, which sounded suspiciously like connecting to the online copy of SharePoint instead of on-prem. I pried a bit, but found he was mostly clueless to what I was talking about. Not technically, just didn't get why I was asking about on-prem stuff. My boss conveniently waltzes into this meeting, which I did not invite her to, but whatever, she's my boss. They mention the site was recently updated, so maybe the on-prem is an old copy and the online is the current copy. Makes sense. I go to our offshore IT and ask them to provide a URL to the current SharePoint site. He, senior system admin, sends me the on-prem copy. I clarify that the online link I have is not current, and I'm given a firm and solid direction to not use the online copy. Got it. Back to the boss and I deliver the news. $me. It instructed us to use the on-prem site. A boss, who said that. $me. The senior admin on our team. A boss, who's that? $me. I don't know, but I can send you the email. A boss, do that. Visibly frustrated, I send the email and a few days later get back the AVP and I are going to look into setting this up. I don't understand why this is working for other teams and not us. We'll kick it back to you once we have it set up. Your priority is with X system anyways. Okay. Fuck you, lady. I responded with understood. Just make sure not to use Citril. About a week passes, and in my 1:1 I get the conversation pointed at this project. $me. Did you get the connection to on-prem established? A boss, yeah, you just had to explain what the AVP said. Not good. $me. Doesn't that point to the online site? A boss, I don't think so. It worked. $me. Can you show me? Fake teach me voice here. A boss shows me the connection which points to the online site. I explicitly informed her to not use. $me. That's the online site we were explicitly told not to use. A boss, yeah, but we're building things for other teams this way. It'll be fine. $me. Not to be out of line, but are you sure that's a good idea? A boss, well, if someone yells at you, just say it's my fault. I'll ask for forgiveness, not permission. If they fire me for this, laughs like it won't happen. $me. Okay, if you say so. She is teacher's pet to the SVP above both her department and it, so her political expectations make sense. But I'm holding back on this and waiting for it to explode. I'll either get a job that pays me market value soon, or get to see an early data issue thanks to her desire to take presidency of systems over it. Or to be a good one. My head isn't the only thing spinning. Several months ago, I had a call from a user that worked from home in another state over from me. A big storm was hitting both my state and the user state at the same time. Our call went something like this after we greeted each other. Me, so what's going on? User, I'm trying to connect to VPN so I can get some work done from home. Me, okay, are you receiving an error message? User, yay, it says connection failed. Me, okay, are you able to connect to the internet at all? User, oh, let me check and see if I can connect to Google. She browsed to Google, but it took about a minute to finally pull up. User, I was able to get to Google, but it took a long time. Me, okay, so perhaps your internet connection is slow? Are you on Wi-Fi? User, yes me, are you far away from the wireless router? User, kind of. I'm in a closet right now. Me, why are you in a closet? User, oh, we had a tornado siren go off a while ago. I did get a tornado warning text message that a tornado touched down north of here. I paused for about several seconds after she said this. Me, so you're trying to work during the middle of a storm with a tornado nearby? User, yay, but now that you say that, that's probably why I'm having issues, huh? Me, I would say so, yes. You may want to wait until the storm and tornado pass and try again then. It's likely causing issues with the internet in your area. Definitely stay safe. User, I will. It seems to have calmed down a bit, but I will try VPN again later. Thanks. Talk about dedication to work. I guess we are elevator repair guys now. Here's a tale from the beginning of my career as a networking tech. I worked at a wireless engineering company that designed RF environments and took care of a local furniture chain when work was slow. One day we got a really peculiar call from their corporate office. The elevator at the closest store was beeping, and the end users complained till they sent us out because the elevator guy hadn't come yet. I go there with the engineer I was working with that day. A quick look at it. There's no Ethernet wires that connect to the elevator, and it has nothing to do with the Wi-Fi, so it by every definition is not our problem and far out of our skill set. Parts line in elevator was responsibility of elevator guy. We go back to the front desk in the store and tell them that this is not something we fix. The ladies look at us puzzled. Front desk ladies, well, there must be something you can do, right? Engineer, no, we have no idea as to an elevator. We are in charge of the Wi-Fi. Call the elevator guys. Lady, but it's beeping, can't you fix it? Engineer, no, we don't touch elevators. Lady, but it's the phone line in the elevator. I've seen you run cables like it. Engineer, no, we can't fix that. We aren't certified to work on elevators. The two must have gone on for half an hour before she gave up. Just wanted to share, since I remembered this incident after getting a call from some moron through the elevator emergency phone about his Skype. Encyclopedia Moronica, T is for 3 little words. 2 years ago, and GT, me, ma'am, I understand your reluctance to shut down in the middle of the day, but we need to install the updated controller or else your controller will no longer be compatible with the new software in GT. Site manager, SM, no. You come back tonight and do it after hours, and GT, me, that's fine, we can arrange a time to do it after hours. However, I'll need to get sign off from the project manager for the overtime. 1 month later, and GT, project manager, PM, I've submitted an updated quote to SM with the new rate for after hours work, but she is refusing to sign off on it, and GT, me, let me know when she does. I've got no issue with doing the work, but we've got to get paid for it. Right, and GT, PM, exactly, 1 year ago, and GT, me, okay ma'am, I finished measuring up for the new screen to go in. I'll pass these to PM and he'll send you a quote. Once you've signed off on the quote, I can come back and install it for you, and GT, SM, good. Better not be too expensive in GT. Me, I've got no say in the rates that PM bills us out for. That's completely out of my control. Speaking of PM, I don't recall ever installing that updated controller. Did PM ever get that quote to you and GT, SM? No. Too expensive. You leave now, and GT, me. As you wish. May the rest of your day be as pleasant as you are 3 weeks ago, and GT, PM, Gambit, and GT, me. I dislike this conversation already. You only say my name like that when you want me to do something I don't want to do. What's up, and GT, PM, you remember SM, and GT, me, remember her? Let's see. Short, middle-aged Indian or Pakistani woman, heavy accent, aggressive attitude? But asterisk, a co-worker, asterisk from her site for reporting unsafe work practices, impugned the work ethics of myself and asterisk, my co-worker, asterisk, got her site put on permanent stop credit with asterisk, sister company, asterisk, got herself blacklisted by asterisk, major company we work with regularly, asterisk, and is permanently at war with her neighbor over who owns what parts of the shared concrete parking lot outside their respective front doors, resulting in arguments, if not outright fist fights, whenever she wants us to install something outside. And she once called me out at 6 AM as critical site down, because they'd overloaded the single wall socket in the main office, that they run asterisk, all of the critical equipment, asterisk from on daisy chained power strips. Then tried to cancel the call when I was already in the parking lot, so she wouldn't get billed for it. Tripped breakers are absolutely outside our area of responsibility, and thus the call was chargeable at entirely unreasonable after hours rates, and GT, me. So yes, I think you could say that I remember her, and GT, PM, well. She needs help and GT, me, excuse me 1 second asterisk, incapacitated due to hideous laughter, asterisk, and GT, me, I'm back. What's going on, and GT, PM, she ordered some new equipment and GT, me, didn't we already cover the stop credit thing, and GT, PM, yeah. So she ordered them from someone else, and got them to install it and GT, me, okay, I'm with you so far and GT, PM, but the new equipment uses a different protocol, so she needs a new protocol converter installed in her controller. But and GT, me, don't tell me, the new converter isn't compatible with her old controller and now she urgently needs the upgrade she's been stonewalling for the last 2 years, and GT, PM, pretty much and GT, me, excuse me asterisk, hideous laughter returns, asterisk, and GT, me, okay, I'm back and GT, PM, the catch is that SM wants the old equipment to run alongside the new stuff and GT, me. Right, so we need to install the new converter in parallel with the old one in the new controller and GT, PM, pretty much and GT, me, that's not hard. All going to plan. It'll take me 5 minutes to do the hardware side of things, but you'll need to check with the implementation team on how long the software will take. If it was just a straight swap, I'd say half an hour, but setting up the new equipment on the new protocol might take longer, so best to ask them directly in GT, PM. I'll give them a call now, talk to you later. And so the call ended. I set about locating the appropriate converter board and the new controller. While the controller was in stock, the converter board was a rarer beast, so I had to get one shipped in. The following day, all parts in hand, I headed out to the site to once more do battle with the dragon lady that is SM. Brought my coffee machine to work. Boss thinks it's broken. As with everyone in the boomer generation, if it's new and fancy, it's a computer, or it has a computer, and as soon as you mention programming it, it's a computer. So I upgraded my Nespresso machine at home to the newfangled angle dome pod thing. As in, my wife. So I thought, you know what, I'll stick the old one in the break room at work. I made sure to put instructions up with it that I'd reprogrammed the espresso shot button to a mug size and the mug button to travel mug size, about 500 milliliters, within 24 hours. I copped terrified questions from the boss thinking he'd broken it. The two best ones were, first time he yelled, "It won't stop." It's everywhere. How do I make it stop? He'd put one of the smallest coffee cups I'd ever seen under it and proceeded to push the mug button. When I stopped it, just push the button again. He was bemused my one at home doesn't do that much. I just pointed to the instructions, that it's been reprogrammed, and that he just needs to push the button to stop it where he wants it. The second time it's not working, I walk up and plug it in. It shares a power point with 2 microwaves. The plug was looped over the top of the coffee machine itself. For more laughs, he then tried using the Nespresso app to control it, so he'd finished his coffee, gone back to his desk, leaving a pod in it and his mug under it. Apparently his daughter has one that can be programmed to wake you up with a coffee, or she can leave a pod in it and trigger it with her phone. I said this one can't do that, but was told well it should be able to. It has a computer in it. If you can reprogram it, it's a computer, and computers can talk to each other. The 40 other people here, including another boomer, know how it works and have zero issues understanding a coffee machine. Load probably bad data into a mission critical database? No, thanks. This is an old one, like me. And it's probably way too long. It might need cutting in parts. I do tend to be long-winded. Back when I was a mainframe programmer, in the 1980s, yes, IBM mainframe using COBOL, gasp, I worked for a state law enforcement agency and was the primary developer, actually, the only one, since the only other guy had retired, for a system that state police, sheriff's deputies and police officers used. In order to give officers real-time access to wanted and missing persons, as well as stolen cars and other kinds of stolen articles. The way this used to work was that the officer would radio in the relevant data and get a verbal response from dispatch. These days it is done using a mobile terminal in the officer's cars, but my story took place back in the dark ages. Anyway, the wanted and missing persons part was particularly important because of officer safety. A police officer seriously needed to know if the vehicle he had just pulled over was stolen or had been reported as involved in a crime, or if the person he was briefly detaining in a traffic stop was wanted for some crime or had been reported as a missing person. Our system provided this quite well, but the one thing it didn't provide was if the person that had been pulled over was currently under supervision, that is on parole, from the state prison system. Someone came up with a way to provide this information by getting a monthly extract from the prison system, so we could load it into our database, and if a match occurred in a query, a response would be generated automatically. And the officer would be warned to be careful with the subject. Easy, right? I wish. The easy part was coding what our system would do in the event of a hit or identity matches. I had that developed and tested using test data that I created in just a couple of weeks. It seemed to work quite well, so the next step was to get live data from the prison system and load that into our database. The data was to be extracted on their end, copied to a data tape, and sent to us via internal mail. The problem was, we had to have the data extract be in a format that our system could use. So, we specified what we needed and in what format the information needed to be in. Names needed to be last name followed by a comma, then first name and middle names or initials, if any. Dates of birth needed to be real dates. For instance, no February 29th, except in leap years, either male or female. This was back in the days before non-binary was considered a 6. Height in inches, accepted hair color codes, and a number of other things that were actually national standards. I got the first extract, had our operators copy it out to a file I could use to load the database. And then I tried to upload it. Immediately the data loader program crashes. What the heck? I wondered. The exception code indicated that the program had tried to load the wrong kind of data into a database field that couldn't accept it. So, I had a look at the data to see what the problem was. Oh my gosh, it was all over the place. Numerics where text strings were supposed to be, text strings where numerics were needed, like 5 foot 8 inches instead of 68. Bad codes, like dark for hair color, when it needed to specify an actual hair color. Impossible dates. It didn't seem likely that we'd have to look out for people born in 1860. and a number of other things. We had clearly told them what we needed, and it looked like they had just gone through their database and grabbed whatever was there and splattered it out to us. I couldn't believe that their database contained such incredible garbage. So I wrote up every problem I found and sent them a detailed description of the problems and asked for corrections. A week later I get a corrected tape, and of course some of the problems were fixed, but not all. And I also found other previously unnoticed problems. More emails. Eventually, after a few weeks, I got data that would actually load into the database without exceptions. And now we could have our beta testers run queries to see how the system worked. Now, it is perfectly normal for a new system to need changes to make it work right. And it is also normal to have to go through this 2, 3, 4 or more times. This is expected and allowed for. Some of the initial changes the testers requested were my responsibility, but some were the prison system's. And so it went. But every single time I got a tape with new database changes, it was almost like when we started out. Fixed problems were unfixed, completely new data fields were totally wrong, and this occurred every single time. I had to spend a few days going back and forth with them until they finally got everything fixed again. We went through this ridiculous cycle about 6 times until it looked like we could get a final tape from the prison system's production database and we could move our new feature into production on our end. Hooray! On the morning of the day we were expecting to go live, I showed up at my usual starting time. The new tape was in, and I was about to instruct our operators to load it into our test system when my boss called me in for a conference with the database administrator, DBA. What could they possibly want? And it was here that I got blindsided. They both looked grim, like someone was about to get a reaming. It was just my boss talking, the DBA was there just for emphasis, I guess. Boss, Grim Reaper why are you here so late? Me, puzzled this is when I always come in. Boss, the new subsystem is supposed to go live this morning. We expected you to come in early. Me, you didn't say anything about coming in early. Boss, it should have been understood. It's supposed to be live now. Me, like I said, that wasn't communicated to me. Nobody said anything about first thing in the morning. I understood it was going live today, not *6 am today*. Boss, regardless, why weren't you here early? Me, aside from not being told to come in early, you mean? Okay, you've been following the progress of the development effort, right? He nods at this. So, how many times have I had to send their data tapes back because they couldn't seem to get the data right every time there was a change? Boss, looking cautious quite a few. Me, that's right. And I can guarantee you, it's going to be screwed up today too. Why should I come in early today to load data that is going to fail basic edits just so I can send them a bug report and then wait until tomorrow or the next day to get it fixed? When odds are it will fail the edits the next time too. Boss, but this will be production data. Me, yes, but can you guarantee me that their production system data will not contain new data problems that their test system code hasn't been designed to filter out? Boss, defeated no, I can't. Me, then let me out of here so I can load the new tape and see if it's clean. Rather deflated, but still trying to look stern and in charge, they let me go. Production data, of course, is supposed to be clean data. But the prison system didn't have the same standards we had because they had a completely different emphasis. After what I had seen, I wasn't going to trust their data. Not one bit, until I could test it. Of course, the data on the new tape blew up. And it took 2 or 3 days before I got a tape that got a clean upload, and another few days before some brand new data problems caused by the prison system's production data could get ironed out. So the rollout of the new subsystem was a week and a half late, but at least it got rolled out. A side benefit of all this was that my boss stopped being so much of a control addict with me, and the DBA was quite impressed with my wizardry. We actually became quite good friends.